Hey guys, and it's the Funky Play Brothers, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube. And today we're reading Five Nights at Freddy's Tales from the Pizzaplex 3 Somniphobia. Part 3. Last time we left off, Sam was just they bought the moon sphere with their tickets, and then Sam had it for a week or a day. I don't remember. Mom, my digestion is 50% better on my new meal plan, and I'm more energetic. If you haven't noticed, it's the new me. Mom made a show of starting at his face. Nope, still the same kiddo to me, handsome as ever. Sam, sure, Mom. Sam shook his head, but he was used to his mom's jokes. She was one of the strongest people he'd ever met. She'd somehow worked through the grief of losing her high school sweetheart and helped Sam through grieving over his father at such a young age, while still managing to help them survive. His dad had been the breadwinner in the family while his mom took care of him and followed her dream of being a full-time artist. Her paintings hadn't really taken off, but her passion never faded. Even when she got back to go work as the middle school art teacher, she had to squeeze in moments to paint for herself nowadays. Sam didn't feel so bad hanging out with his friends when his mom was alone. It gave her a chance to paint. Thanks for bringing me the food, Mom. Mom said. Smells yummy. There's birthday cake too. Double the sugar and gluten for me, even better. The next day after school, Sam set up Moondrop's dream sphere in his room. His mom always stayed a little longer at her school to get things prepared for the following day, and he had some time to himself. He placed the dream sphere on his bedside table and plugged the cord into a nearby wall outlet. Like the living room, his mom made sure his bedroom was accent with color. His walls were forest green with light wooden furnishing. She bought him a light brown bedding with highlights of dark blue and green, its tall bookshelf and lined with some of his favorite childhood books, a few toys that his dad had bought him. He also had a ton of books on the digestion, health, germs, and making smart choices. His favorite picture of him and his dad sat on the top shelf. They were sitting on his dad's motorcycle, probably about to go on one of their father and son rides. Sam sat on his bed and picked up two subject notebook with two school notes on English, literature, and ocean science. He set his wristwatch alarm for 10 minutes. He decided to take his glasses and set them on the little table. And then he pushed the button to start the dream sphere. Moondrop turned and the lights flashed across Sam's face. After a moment, he began to feel that slow, heavy feeling sink over his body. It felt so surreal that he wondered what would happen if he stood up. But he didn't. He didn't want to chance falling over or hurting himself. Words floated out of the notebook, dancing before him, and then fading into the air. First, he appeared right in the middle of a hamlet. The costumes were straight out of historical text. The words from the performance were spoken naturally. He felt as if he was witnessing William Shakespeare's imagination as a play right in his mind. Sam went to adjust his glasses and remembered he took them off. And then it dawned on him. He actually could see very clearly without wearing his glasses while using the dream sphere. That's cool, he murmured. He was thrust into the ocean, and before Sam could panic, he realized he could actually walk and breathe underwater. He floated down to the ocean floor and guided across the sand and rock carefully, not to step on any crawling sea creatures. He sensed the coldness of the water, but it wasn't overwhelming. A school of fish scattered away as a pond of humpback whales swarmed close by, singing a song. though even in the dream state, his mind specified the humpback whale songs were made of groans, grunts, and whistles most of the time. Seahorses floated past him. A sea turtle slowly swam below the whales. Then the whales swam by Sam, and the most peaceful feeling came over him. He reached out a hand and touched one of the whales. He could have sworn the eye of the whale actually looked at him. The song of the whales actually the song of the whales seemed to glide through the ripples of water. Suddenly his wristwatch sounded, and his sense of loss overcame Sam as he pulled back from the lucid experience. It was odd, shift from dream into reality. Into his present, he pushed a button on the dream sphere to turn it off and clicked off his alarm. But he adapted once again to the surroundings of his bedroom. A smile spread across his face. "That was fantastic," he yelled out. Sam jumped and did a little dance as he looked at himself in the mirror. He could admit it was odd to see such a full smile on his face. It really transformed him. He hardly ever smiled, and for once he could admit he looked and felt happy. He even flexed his arms and wondered if he should start lifting some weights. He did the cardio that was recommended to maintain a healthy lifestyle, but maybe he should add to it. He'd definitely think of that. Sam's stomach growled. He was so energetic that he got the idea to treat his mom to a homemade dinner. He slipped his glasses back on and went to the kitchen to cook one of her favorite dishes. An hour later, when his mom came home, her eyes widened in surprise. "Have I walked into the wrong apartment?" Sam smiled. "Nope, this is your home with your son, making your favorite gluten and processed cheese lasagna." But still, my heart, Sam, was what had brought this on. Sam knew it was the dream sphere, but I just felt good, and I wanted to show my appreciation for all the things you do for me. So I cooked you dinner, and I even had time to straighten up the apartment. Mom's mouth popped open. "You cleaned the bathroom?" Sam squinted at her. "I'm not feeling that good." "Of course not." Mom walked over and put a hand to his face. "You don't seem warm. You sure you're feeling okay?" Sam shrugged her hand off. "Mom, stop. I feel fine. Just trying to do something nice." She smiled. "Sam, thank you. I appreciate the gesture. This looks wonderful. Let me change and then we can eat. What are you going to have?" He popped open the oven. "I also have one gluten-free lasagna, minus the cheese." She laughed. "I'll be ready in 5 minutes." The next day, Sam eyed the dream sphere in his bedroom. While at school, he replayed his session from the day before over and over in his mind. It had felt surreal, and yet so real. It was like he traveled into other worlds right from the comforts of his bedroom. He really wanted to extend the experience just a little bit longer. "I bet it would be fine to go for, say, 15 minutes, he reasoned, adjusting his glasses. "It's only 5 minutes more. Shouldn't really make a difference. I mean, what could it hurt?" He didn't have any new notes from school to study, so he sat with his entire government book, which was pretty thick. He set his wristwatch to 15 minutes, removed his glasses, and with a push of a button, turned on the dream sphere. The moondrop began to turn, and the lights from the sphere flashed across Sam's face. The notes of the book floated through the air, and the branches of the government moved across his eyes. He witnessed the Declaration of Independence being signed, followed by his historical timeline of voting rights. He watched George Washington take the oath to become the first president, and was in awe viewing the parade of the U.S. president who followed as they were sworn in office. He witnessed treaties and laws being passed. He glimpsed wars being fought, which upset him. And then finally, it was as if the entire contents of the book had slipped into his mind, like a human computer downloading a file. Whoa, he was starting to feel like some kind of genius with so much knowledge packed in his brain. He felt himself tremble from the intensity and the amount of information he had witnessed. Maybe he considered the entire government book was a little too much. In the next moment, the scene changed. and he could find himself a small park. This is strange, he thought. Could this park be part of the history in the book? His wristwatch began to beep, and his time was up. But Sam waited a moment longer before clicking off the dream sphere. The park looked slightly familiar. It could be any park, really. The sandbox, slide, swing set, and seesaw. Tall trees were scattered around. It was a nice day with only a few clouds in the sky. Birds were chirping. Other kids were playing in the sandbox and on the one swing. But then he saw, "Hey, bud, let's play tag. You're it, Dad," Sam said, and the one word seemed to echo around him. Beep, beep. Yeah, this park was part of history. Sam's history. "Come on, catch me." His dad smiled. He was young and healthy, just like Sam remembered him. He had overgrown light brown hair with some scruffs on his face from not shaving for a few days. He wore faded jeans, black work boots, and t-shirt. He was wearing his signature Ray-Bans. He waved Sam to come over to him, and then Sam jogged toward him. But Sam was little, and his dad had always been faster. "Dad, wait, you're too fast. Come on, catch me. That's the game." Then Sam lost him. He was gone. Sam looked around, a little nervous. "Dad, where are you?" He stopped. He spotted something blue and gray shifting the corner of his eye. Sam turned to see what it was, but he saw nothing but a few trees. Suddenly his dad jumped out behind a tree in front of him. "Gotcha, you scared me." They both laughed really hard as his dad picked him up and swung him around in a big circle. Beep, beep, beep. Sam pulled himself back from the memory, hesitantly switched off the dream sphere, and then his watch alarm. It was still laughing until he was crying. He sat there in quiet for a long time, experiencing the lost memory over and over and over again in his mind. Sam was searching in the hall closet, digging through old boxes. It was either junk drawer or full of essential items, as well as odd things they didn't always need but occasionally used, like super glue, masking tape, a screwdriver, a hammer, an old paint roller, and a wrench. He was pretty sure the wrench was his dad's and would have never been used again in his lifetime. "Sam, what are you looking for?" Mom asked from behind. Sam's nose itched from the dust and he sneezed once, then again. "Twice, 3 times for the gold," his mom announced dramatically. He rubbed at his nose. "I was just looking for some of Dad's things." "Oh, what do you need?" "I don't know. I want to remember him." Sam pulled out a box of photo albums and old yearbooks, then shoved it back. There was a pause, and then Mom said, "Grab that white box with the removable lid on the top shelf." Sam grabbed the box and brought it to the living room. Mom had her hands on her hips. "What made you want to look at your father's stuff?" Sam shrugged. "I had a memory, and I thought it would be nice to remember some more." What was the memory?" Sam's lip curved. "We were at some park playing tag. I could never catch him." Mom smiled back. "Yeah, it would always tire you out, running around after your dad." Together they sat on the couch and lifted the lid. "There are a few of your dad's things." She took out a wallet, faded and worn out on the edges, and the keys to his motorcycle, though the bike had been totaled in the accident. There was a favorite white shirt of his dad's that had a hole in the collar, a few collectible coins, and some old pictures from when Dad was a little kid. "You look like him when he was younger," Sam's mom said. Sam could see the familiar resemblance in the nose, shape of the face, and mouth. "Wow, I never realized that I would kind of look like him." There were a bunch of CDs with a portable CD and player and headphones. Dad loved music, like you do, Sam recalled. "I forgot about that," Mom sighed. "Yeah, I have most of the old CDs in my room, but here are some of his other ones that he liked as a teenager." Sam studied the CD cases, lots of rock and roll bands, also a few solar artists. He pulled out the CD player with headphones. "Can I use this?" "Sure, honey, take what you need. There are some new batteries in the drawer in the kitchen. Your dad would have liked you to listen to his old favorites." Sam took some of the CDs and put the box back in the closet. After he replaced the batteries in the player, he went to his room and shut the door. He put a CD into the portable player and slipped on the headphones as he lay down on his bed. Slow rock music played as he closed his eyes, thinking of his dad. In government class, Sam had been handed back his latest test. "Excellent work, Sam," Miss Taylor praised him. "You're at the top of your grading curve now, and I'm glad to see you putting more effort into your studies." Sam nodded with a smile. "Thanks, Miss Taylor." He'd aced the test and the extra credit question with a total of score of 115%. He usually scored in the 90s, so he definitely upped his grade with the help of the dream sphere. Jules leaned toward him from the desk next to him. "When are you going to share the sphere?" Sam adjusted his glasses. "After the week's over. I've only had it a couple days." "You already aced the test. It's my turn now." "We made a plan, Jules. We've got to stick to it," Jules frowned. "It's not like it's your sphere." Sam shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Talk to Rad. It was his idea, and it's his dream sphere." Jules sat back with a scowl, and Sam took a steady breath. He didn't realize his pulse was speeding up. He had a few more days with the sphere, then one of the other guys would take it home. That was the plan, and it wasn't going to be a problem. Well, he didn't think it would be a problem. He was so catching up thinking about the sphere that it took him a moment to realize he hadn't let Jules push him around. Rad caught up with Sam as he walked to the bleachers for lunch. "How's it going with the dream sphere?" Rad asked. "Pretty good," Sam said, slipping on the hat he had remembered to bring this week. "I'm taking in a lot more notes. I aced my latest government test." He didn't mention the memory of his dad. It was too private, too personal. While Rad was a good friend, he felt more comfortable talking about his dad with his mom. "That's cool. I'm glad it's working out for you. Hey, are you doing anything after school tomorrow?" "Don't think so." "Why?" "My dad asked me to do some yard work and trim his old trees we have in the backyard. I could use some help if you're up for it." Sam nodded. "Oh, sure, I'll be there." "Thanks. With two of us, we'll get it done in no time." Brad hesitated. "And look, Sam, I'm sorry Jules gave you a hard time at Misty's party. You have nothing to apologize about. It wasn't you. It was just Jules being Jules." "You're both my friends, you know." Sam nodded. "Yeah, I get it." The friends left it at that as they climbed up the bleachers to meet with the rest of the group. Sometimes Sam hung with the guys after school and joked around for half an hour, but today he went straight home and he was eager to use the dream sphere again, eager to feel good, eager to feel energized, eager for another lucid experience. He grabbed an apple, washed it, and then took it to his bedroom. He had a few notes from the one subject to use, and well, he wondered if another memory might pop up. A memory of his dad. He occasionally dreamed of his dad, but the dream always faded when he awoke. Sometimes he looked at pictures to remember him, but it wasn't the same as a vivid memory. He'd experienced it had been like he was really reliving the fun moment at the park when he was little. Back then, there hadn't been a care in the world. There'd been laughter, fun, and joy. Feeling joyful and carefree wasn't really part of his life anymore, and that was kind of sad when he thought about it. It's not that he didn't love his mom, but his dad gone, there was a hole in their family that never seemed to be filled. When he experienced a vivid memory, that the hole had been briefly filled and overflowing. He wanted to experience it all again. He took a bite of his apple and set his watch to 15 minutes and then hesitated. When he last used the sphere, the lucid dream of his dad hadn't come until after the first 15 minutes of studying. 5 minutes more hadn't seemed to hurt him. I'm sure 10 minutes more would be just fine too. He said there was a familiar voice in the back of his mind telling him it might not be such a good idea, but he squashed it. He couldn't always be Captain Doom and Gloom. He might have a full 5 minutes of the time with his dad in the dream state. When he'd went over a couple of minutes past 15, he'd felt fine. In fact, felt fantastic each time he used the dream sphere. Even better than being on his gluten-free meal plan. He took a breath and reset the wash alarm for 20 minutes. When he slipped off his glasses and pushed the dream sphere button on, the lights spun and heavy feelings sunk into his body, and the study notes came alive. He experienced ocean science on a new level. He could feel that oceans were very old, ancient billions of years of history could not be told through the oceans. But Sam hesitated to take in that much information. He had a sudden thought that his mind couldn't handle it all. Then the scene shifted. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time for part 4. So guys, thanks for watching. Follow us on Twitter and Hive at the Funky Play Bros. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Patreon at the Funky Play Brothers. Support us on Cash App at the $ Funky Play Brothers so we can have more unboxings, more taste tests, more adventures, more Reading Thursdays, and for support. Thank you for watching. Bye.